Hey everyone, so welcome to an episode of our podcast Koon Rijjeil. So today we have another Karim for the first time ever, another guest called Karim, who is also wearing a cap, Lebanese, so that's amazing. Karim, welcome to Koon Rijjeil.
Thank you.
So it's a great pleasure for me to have you on the episode, mostly because a lot of people send me your videos. They're like, man, كتير مهضوم وبيضحك وليك هيدا شو بيعمل. And then I was like, you know what, man, let me reach out, let me see what this guy's all about. So this is what the episode's going to be.
Amazing.
Plus or minus. So Karim, the way we like to start kill episode is نسأل ضيف, what does كون رجال mean to you?
كون رجال means to me إنه أول شيء أنا I think فكرة الرجال in our society or community it's very distorted عن what it needs to be. يعني إحنا هلا you see that in my videos كتير إنه إحنا عنا الرجال is very all about إنه بدك تكون أنت يعني الرجال هو this macho man that he شو
I think his forward, yeah.
No worries, yeah. غلط go ahead.
Yeah.
Technical issues. معلش يلا.
How do you guys want to do it? Just start from the beginning or? Okay. So so the way we like to بلش كل حلقة بنسأل الضيف what does كون رجال mean to you?
أنا for me إنه الرجال in our society the meaning of رجال كتير distorted كتير غير عن what it's supposed to be in my opinion, which is why كمان أنا شوي بلشت الفيديوز كتير about إنه الشاب اللبناني وكيف هو بيشوف حاله عرفت كيف. So يعني نحن هو الرجال المفروض يكون someone who is very caring و kind و giving وهيك, ونحن عنا شوي it's very different. It's about being macho. وأنا القصة كلها والقرار عندي وأنا والجقل
كل شيء بدك إياه معي وخلص ما تعتل هم
علي و everything else doesn't matter. هيدا الرجال
literally
it's very different. it's interesting إنه أنت you chose that name للبودكاست لأنه I think it's time to شوي نبلش نوعي.
what does it mean to be a رجال?
الرجال is someone who is يعني he needs to be softer than society makes him feel. عرفت كيف or seem. الرجال is يعني هو بده يعطي من كل قلبه, هو بده يساعد, هو at the same time بده يكون رب المنزل بس with support of his wife. عنا it's لا we see it as he needs to be the only one who does everything. عرفت كيف. فالرجال is much more than that.
الرجال is so much more, by the way. And by the way, what you said is like I didn't think about it before, which is to make الرجال feel softer than what we, what society and what history has always told us for the man to be, اللي هي تكون هالشاب القبضاي اللي ما بيخاف من شيء بس إنه reality is إنه نحن كمان no we're not immortal, we're not Gilgamesh, عرفت يعني بس إنه ما بنموت يعني.
أنا إذا بيمرق صرصور مثلا بقول أوه شيت بخاف من الصرصور, بقرف من الصرصور, بيقول له شو باك يا زلمة رجال
كون رجال
يا أخي شو هذا الرجال ما بيخاف من الصرصور يا زلمة مش معقول. طيب
ليك أنا مثلك بعدين, بس أنا مع البسينات. أنا بسينات no way
يعني they mind their own business. أحلى شيء ما بدك فيهم
you don't know what they're thinking. ما بتعرف هن بدهم ينطوا عليك, بدهم يجوا يخرمشوك, بيسبوا عليك, ما بتعرف. الكلب مثلا انه I'm getting there شوي يعني حلمت actually was it last night حلمت اني حملت كلب ولعبت معه هيك so I'm passing a step, عرفت. بس بسيني no way
بس الكلب بده يلحوس ويجي وينطنط عليك.
مش مشكلة
if you're OCD I guess انت انا هي مشكلتي.
انا بسينات ما بعرف هيك كمان لانه اختي كمان كان عندها مشاكل مع بسينات كمان. I think it's a genetic thing
بالعائلة.
so my mom اختي الكبيره وانا واختي صغيره من الصراصير كلنا عندنا فوبيا من شيء, بس انا بسينات for sure يعني. for sure طيب so انا honestly the main thing that I want to talk to you about اليوم اللي هي your page يلي هي يعني because دايما كلنا بنمرق بأوقات بحياتنا انه it's tough و it's hard وهيك, بس all of us resort لشيء. In your case it's comedy, in my case it's podcasting to talk about things, to be open and honest. So why comedy? إنه ليه لفت بهيدا الطريق وكيف هي ساعدتك بحياتك to overcome if that was how it was used كمان.
هو 100% مثل ما قلت يعني أنا for me comedy is like an outlet بستعملها أكتر لفشة الخلق and it's always been the case. يعني من أنا وصغير it was it was the way I would portray my emotions عرفت. فدايما إذا بدي أطلع من any situation أو بدي بس فشت خلق I would always resort to comedy. that's where بلشت يعني من صغري. حتى بالمدرسة كنت دايما أنا هيدا المشاغب بس at the same time balanced يعني فيه مجيب علامات بس أنا الرزيل بالصف. So it was always this creative outlet for me. ووصلت لدرجة where إنه طب I want to يعني put it out there إنه I know how people can يعني relate to it. And مثلا when you're not feeling good أو شيء it's nice. Comedy is always that thing where you come to 100% يعني you can always get out of anything with comedy and you'd always rewire your brain with comedy يعني it's bigger than it we make it seem. فحسيت انه it's time to put it out there. وبلشت هيك with random videos وإلي زمان صراحة أنا يعني إلي بركي 2016-17 I started making some form of content. بس back then ما كنت كتير يعني كنت عم بعملها هيك كيف ما كان whenever I have time وpost. then with time يعني I started slowly getting better with editing, getting better with filming, with ideation. I always had that creativity إذا بدك. then it hit its peak يعني a couple of years ago وقت that one video went viral. ومن وقتها قلت إنه okay there's something there يعني. and it's a way to get out of 96.
You get out of 96 for sure man.
I think
like هيدا أهم شيء يعني. Look, I think it's always important to دايما يعني whatever you do in life هيك ما حقول بتنسيك عن القصص اللي المشاكل عنها بس لا إنه بتغير لك الجو for a period of time until you're able to يعني for you to figure it out إذا بدك after. لأنه كتير أمرار مثلا أنا كتير كان يمروا عليه قصص وهيك إنه دايما Kevin Hart was my outlet دايما بس بعد بحضر بس even though I would rewatch كل his stand-ups over and over and Modern Family as well كتير بس إنه خلص it helps me disconnect from the world even if it's for 20-30 minutes مش مشكلة.
totally عن جد. وحتى like when you see people عم تتفاعل مع هالموضوع إنه I used to get a lot of هيك random messages of people telling me إنه oh you made my day, especially هول مثلا أنا كان نهاري كتير عاطل و I watched your videos and it cheered me up. يعني مش بس أنت عم بتفش خلقك بس عم بتفش خلق الناس و like you're actually slowly starting to like make a shift in society. فهيدي لحالها gives you a big boost وبتحس إنه you're doing something bigger. يعني أنا اللي بعمله بشغلي يمكن ما عم بيساعد the world عرفت. هيدي it's something where I feel that I'm giving. I think حتى like if you want to look at your job وحتى أنت اللي بتعمله on the side you're helping in your job, you're helping yourself in terms of إنه عم بقبض هيك وهيك بس إنه أنت what you're doing it is what's important. يعني أوكي أنا عم ساعد غيري وعم ساعد حالي كمان you know. وهذا it's to me it's super important يعني بالعكس you need to دايما keep that in mind. So كم بدي أسألك أنت about your childhood. So how was Kareem as a child وكيف كانت يعني how are you? Did you have like for example like problems growing up مش family as in like you know did you feel like maybe you weren't heard or you weren't yourself or you had to be somebody you're not so how was Kareem? Like by childhood I was the eldest in the house but I'm كمان the loudest يعني أنا I've always since I was a kid my heart's on my sleeve إنه ما بكبت بقلبي. I always speak out. I'm this personality that's like I'm always vocal. عرفت ما بخبي ما بهيدا. You always know exactly how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. This has really helped me build confidence كمان throughout my childhood لأنه مني هيدا اللي بستحي أو مثلا بخاف يحكي أو شيء هيك. my childhood from that perspective was very interesting إنه كمان كنت كتير مشاغب طبعا كنت عم بقول لك. I was very رزيل growing up بس at the same time إنه genuine ومني هيدا المئزة أو شيء هيك. So my childhood from that perspective was very إنه it was fun. عرفت كيف إنه خلص I do whatever I feel like doing as long as I'm not hurting anyone or not stepping on anyone's toes. people picked up on that. all my friends have been genuine مثلي and they understand how I am عرفت. that's really helped shape my upbringing. it's been one hell of a journey صراحة يعني. أنت بتعرف what I went through. أنا خلقت home by the way. So I was born here and then بدنا نفوت على الجامعة كنا I studied here. Then it came time for university. Everyone was like okay أنا بدي أروح AUB أو أنا بدي أدرس I want to stay in the UAE. So those were the two main options. أنا قلت لهم لأهلي أنا I want to go to Canada. شو أنا ما كنت طالع أنا من هالvibe يعني أنا خلص it was Lebanon Dubai Lebanon. So they're like كيف why you're 17 خلص لا وأنا I can't يعني خلص أنا بتجيني هول الأفكار where إنه okay I want to shift now خلص زهقت أنا من هيدي الvibe I want to try something different. I've always had that ويلا حطيت حالي بطيارة لحالي to Canada ويلا رحت لهونيك had 5 years came back زهقت came back and this is my personality عرفت I'm always looking for the next thing this is me in a nutshell يعني.
بس ليك ما ذكرتني في حالي لأنه أنا كتير my parents and my sisters know this كتير أنا بيجي لهم هيك أفكار عرفت إنه بس قاعدين هيك we're having like a dinner هيك قاعدين عم نتحدث وهيك بقول لهم guys I have an idea they're all like oh god what's he gonna do now فبيجي بقول مثلا ما بعرف I remember at some point قلت لهم بدي أسافر على المكسيك ليه ما بعرف كنت أسافر على المكسيك هيك أنا قلت لهم بدي أسافر على أستراليا أحضر like a stand up for someone وأرجع أجي and then آخر وحدة it was like the fucking craziest one أنا بعدني جايب سيارة من شي 6 أشهر قلت لهم تغير سيارتي وجيب واحدة جديدة لأنه قريب السيارة ما حبيتها وكمان بدي أروح سافر على ليفربول to watch a game because you know I'm a Liverpool fan أحضر جيم بليفربول تسافر وهيك قالوا لي إنه أنت شو بك يعني إنه شو الوضع بس but the thing is it takes a certain character to do that it means that أنت يعني to me it means إنه you don't limit yourself يعني أنت ما عندك a barrier إنه أوكي أنا يعني ما عندي a limit to how I should think about my life شو بدي أعمل إنه بالعكس أنا I love that about me إنه أوكي إنه people may or may not like it هيدا آخر همي بس اللي بيهمني أكتر إنه أوكي what do يعني how do I come across to people how do I come across to myself يعني even when I come up with these really stupid ideas sometimes but okay but that's how I am إنه you know I'm never ashamed by it صراحة
لا I totally get that أنا يعني you seem like the same character على فكرة أنا كثير هيك freedom عرفت that spirit of إنه I hate being bounded أو like إنه خلص أنا ما في this is my time that's why أنا sometimes I struggle at work إنه خلص you have these like strict boundaries إنه 9 to 6 وما فيك تروح ما فيك تطلع ما فيك تجي عرفت I totally get that لأنه this is my personality I want that freedom I want to be able to إنه هلأ طلعت فكرة براسي بدي أعملها هلأ and I'm very like that I was like that عن جد since I was a child whether it was جامعة whether it was starting content whether it was whatever I'm doing the next project I'm working on خلاص I'm دغري I do it.
By the way, it's crazy لأنه you would think أمرار some people they're born with it عرفت or some people it بيكون صار شيء trigger بس أنا for me it was a trigger it wasn't وأنا صغير.
Oh really?
أنا for me it was إنه recently هلا صارت إنه خلاص يعني كتير so for the most of my life كنت كتير هيك إنه بخاف أعمل قصص إنه what if something happens what if this دايما play it safe بس بعدين I'm like man إنه شو هالعيشة
عن جد
right? You're not gonna experience you're not gonna live you're not gonna see the world you're not gonna test yourself you know ويا just خلص just part of going out and meeting people وكمان غير my way of thinking اللي هي كانت دايما you know مثل ما قلت play things safe but also do things that are within your comfort zone اللي هي كمان كان the biggest problem I had اللي هي حتى even before I started this podcast اللي هي إنه I've always wanted to go out and talk وخلي العالم تقرأ أنا شو عم بحكي إنه عم بكتب وعم بحكي وهيك بس it came to a point where it was okay بس إنه what if someone's gonna judge what if someone's gonna say this what if someone's but then I'm like yeah but that's my story هيدي قصتي هيدي it's not a problem for me عرفت I think it started from there يعني from there خلص
It's funny لأنه عن جد نحن كتير هيك our community كتير إنه شو بيقولوا الناس شو بيفكروا إنه خلص أنا my worst line أكره شيء is this is how it's always been done هي خلص هي هيك بنعمل بس ليه بدي أعمل هيك هي هيك أنا هيدي أكتر كلاش كنت أعملها أنا مع أهلي إنه خلص this is how it is طب كيف يعني this is how it is طب have you considered questioning إنه ليه إنه فينا نطلع شوي من هالcomfort zone ما في إنه ليه بدك تروح تعمل هيك ما شو بيقولوا الناس أنا that's the first like sentence I get to طب شو بيقولوا الناس طب بيقولوا الناس ما شو بدي من الناس أنا إذا بدي أقعد أعمل شو ما بدي الناس I don't have a personality then my personality is purely shaped عن الناس
exactly
so I'm just a mirror of society
exactly واللي هو السايت تبعنا كمان isn't the greatest by the way يعني كمان
let's be honest إنه كتير نحن مقوقعين مثل ما بيقولوا we're very خلص secluded we have our own communities ومنخاف نطلع ونجي and to meet new cultures and عرفت كيف like we're always very هيك محصورين وبيقول لك شو بدي ليه بدي يعني أبي كان يقول مثلا إنه ليه بدي سافر لهوني what will I learn there ما خلص أنا I know my community and I like it بس إنه
that's not it like
عن جد you wanna always no أنا بحس what's the point of life if you're not constantly learning more and gaining more knowledge and growing. You don't do that by just sitting within your own community and not going out of your comfort zone. But that's a big hurdle.
It's a huge hurdle man. بالذات حتى أنا هلا I think حتى even my parents يعني كتير أمرار very small things, super small things. مثلا I don't know مثلا نفترض مثلا نكون معزومين على غدا مثلا أنا لابس مثلا شورت وقميص which to me is very fashionable. لا ما العالم شو بتحكي؟ طب
هيك بدك تروح
ولو
هيك بدي اروح
انه معزومين عند فلان. طب بس مش انه مش لابس بيجاما لا انه لابس اواعي مرتبين بس انه مش I'm not going with the norm اللي هي it's very small things بس انه بس you realize قد ايه اكثرية يعني our culture our society is based على هذا التفكير اللي هو which goes back to كون رجال اللي هي الرجال لازم يضلوا يكون قوي السند which سند fine I get it بس انه as well there's more to him. It's not just this
مش انه he just leads وانت بدك تسمعه للرجال ومثل ما هو بده بيصير. It's not always the case يعني if he can be wrong الرجال كمان يعني.
مان ذكرتني هديك النهار I was out with some friends فكنا قاعدين عم نحكي and someone was like أنا it was a girl so it's like if I'm ever out on a date but I would want the guy to pick for me what to eat. فأنا هون I'm like okay هيدا بدأ podcast to start with بس I'm like okay كيف يعني and the context was he was like okay a friend of mine was asking if he ordered a steak who اجى طلب لك Caesar salad تقبل قلت ايه ما برو كيف
هو الرجال
exactly
هو
the
بيعرف
point
بطنه شو بده كمان
exactly the point so أنا هون I'm like but
وين الشخصية
but how is this normal how do people think like this how you know again I don't want to make people feel bad because maybe that's how they are but some things don't make sense عرفت انه ليه الرجال تيجي ينقي لي انا شو بدي اكل انه الرجال اللي بيقولوا طب مش لازم دايما يعني عادي it's life is equal life is yeah it goes back to all these movements اللي بتشوفهم
ما هو انتبه بتفوت هلا بالفيمينيزم
exactly so it's like what فيا no it's like that يعني دايما بحس دايما in most contexts يعني الرجال لازم يلعب الدورين كمان let's be fair يعني كمان ما فيك تكون هيدا ابدا you cannot rely on مش rely on all the time بس انه you can go to him for support for advice for help whatever بس كمان not to be available emotionally somebody who you can talk to somebody who you can do more than what's usually required especially like when you're meeting somebody or you're going out and stuff you feel like okay which part do I show لأنه again بمجتمعنا إذا الرجال بيورجي حاله إنه he is very emotional بتقول لا إنه red flag emotional imbalance whatever فما بدي أطلع معه بس إذا بيطلع الرجال لكن it's like كمان toxic masculinity وكتير طب ما what am I meant to be
it's a very fine line and you need to navigate it very cautiously هون عنا الرجال ممنوع يبكي مثلا إنه إذا طب ما هذا بيكبت ما هذا بكره كمان يعني مثلا بيصير يفشون باشياء تانية بالعنف بميت شغله انه he needs to release his emotions somehow فنحن عنا ما في
يعطيك الصندوق ما في
يعطيك الكوسه
يعطيك الكوسه والله هيدي منيحه I never heard of that one بس نعم it's a crazy world صراحه we live in like عن جد دايما هيك بقعد بفكر I'm like okay what's the quote unquote perfect رجال like how is he meant to be هلا بأمريكا there's a vision of what there is إنه بلاد اللي برا يعني مثلا whenever you watch TV بتلاقي that character which has everything عرفت تيجي لهون ماتشو
دايما
هذا رنجي ماتشو ما بس إنه كمان
فتحة القميص
والسنسل لهون
وبيقول لك أي دين السنسل بده يقول هو شو دينه
exactly وسوبر تايت قميص سوبر تايت
أكيد
هيدا it's a given
of course الشعر مبين شعر صدره
needs to be shown أكيد ولا we can't ما فينا نشيلهم هون أبدا
the brands إذا جنبين the brands
because if you don't show the brands that can mean إنه أنا ما معي مصاري إنه أنا
ما أنت كمان ما تنسى عم بتفرج الناس أنت يكون عم تتدين بس you need to show people and like you're rich
you're not showing the full story that's the thing you're not vulnerable you're not open
and the brands define you
exactly مصاري it tells you أنت شو إذا أنا بسوق بورش كشف يعني أنا يعني
مصاري man we ruined our community
man
we don't know how to handle it ما خارجنا
ابدا يعني نحن اذا بتطلع بلادنا انسى شو انسى so it's a crazy time صراحه
عن جد
yeah Yeah, no, so again, so هلا كم بدي أسألك كمان more about about you as a person, more even حتى about how you cope with things. لأنه هلا putting comedy aside, يعني مثلا if somebody مثلا حدا بيعز عليك مثلا they're going through a rough patch, مثلا emotionally صار معهم مثلا شيء, how would you go about مثلا افترض it's a breakup مثلا with a very good friend of yours or somebody, what would be your first advice? Because usually people بيقولوا okay, get over it, you'll find the next one. Other people would be like whatever, you're too good for her, whatever. So what's your approach? Because I feel like there's so many different ways in which somebody can go about this.
Like Anna, in situations like that, I always like to hear both stories. Sometimes we tend to always favor the people we know very well. وبتكون very one-sided the situation. So I like to hear both sides of the story. So in terms of advice that I give, usually I like to approach it from a perspective of my personal experience. I feel like that's the only way you can get to someone. By relating, they can relate to something انت مرقت فيه.
صح.
Otherwise it's just فلسفة. عرفت كيف؟ It's like stuff you read in a meme on Instagram.
post,
بتعمل له share. If you love you believe.
بعدين هن زي بعدين هولد يعني بترجع بتقولهم لحدا
100% بتقولوا انه يمكن انت ما بتطبقهم. انا اذا انا بقول شغله وانا ما بطبقها والشخص بيعرف انه انا ما بطبقها, why would he trust me? انه ليه بقول لك هيدا عم بيتفزلك بس
عم بيجرب فيه
عفاك انه هيدا قراها somewhere عم he's just repeating. But I like to go based on my experience. So that's how I always started of انه انا صار معي هيك you've seen it, so this is how you need to do XYZ. This is how I approach it.
Well, interesting. No, because again I think usually like the very general thinking is بتلاقي غيرها
أكيد.
يعني again it goes both sides. إن هي بتلاقي غيرك وأنت بتلاقي غيرها for sure. But then it also gets to a point where it's like okay بس إنه that's bullshit يعني إنه okay أكيد it's gonna happen بس إنه it doesn't make me feel better, doesn't give me any clarity, doesn't help me navigate in my life. إنه okay بتلاقي غيرها fine بس إنه thank you. إنه
هيدي usually دغري the go to. يعني if you notice we rarely give advice of إنه fight for something you could have been wrong, especially الرجال like nowadays. إنه to be fair إنه هو بيغلط كتير كمان يعني. So we tend to take his side of the story usually. إنه بشوفها كتير يعني in many relationships where إنه هو الرجال so he's right, so لو شو ما عملت هي حق عليها, شو ما عمل هو حق عليها. that tends to be the way we go about it rather than إنه طب ما fight for this relationship. إنه there are things where you can work on وبتحلها للمشكلة. فهيدي شغلة I think نحنا we tend to disregard it وما بننتبه لك. It's always like إنه خلص شو بدك فيها هيدي
under the rug. Exactly. Yeah. وانسى.
وخلصت
and then the next one you repeat the same story all over again.
لأنك you didn't fix the issues you had in the first relationship, so it will keep following you
until you find somebody who
is just submissive.
Exactly.
That's it. وما في هيدي بتكون someone without a شخصية. You don't want to be with someone like that لأنه she's not going to help you grow.
Exactly. But again أنا دايما to me whenever I look at any relationship دايما بحب لاقي somebody who إنه أكيد عنده شخصية وهيك بس كمان عنده a growth mentality يعني. مش بس I'm dating the person لأنه والله بنت عائلة.
صح.
I mean and that's great, but don't get me, that's great.
Of course.
بس you need somebody who عن جد is gonna criticize you, is gonna give you a hard time.
Exactly.
لأنه مثلا يعني I've seen a lot of relationships مثلا like هلا the close one to me is أختي وجوزها. So my sister is very like how do you say it? Like she's very honest. حدا بيغلط تقول له man انت غلطان 1 2 3 I fucking love it.
هو بيزعل.
لا like هو رجال he's very thick skinned عارف he's like whatever وهيك بس كمان أنا what I like about this approach is that you're not turning a blind eye. وعم تخلي واحد يعرف إنه أوكي أنت غلطان بس إنه عم نبه لك يلا حتى ما ترجع تعيدها بعدين or whatever For to me that's always super important. دايما to be super honest and transparent بهالقصص.
صح. You definitely need someone that challenges you. يعني you can't just be like إنه خلص like عم بحكي كمان again based on personal experience. I've had relationships in the past where أنا it's like without like specifically saying it but it's very clear إنه my way or the highway, which is a very رجال thing in our society. You need someone to challenge you and be like لا ما كمان إنه أنت you're in a relationship مش كل شيء على ذوقك. أنا كمان عندي رأيي. So yeah, you definitely need someone that challenges you.
Of course. It honestly, دايما it takes a lot to admit something. يعني كتير أمرار يعني like I think نحنا the way that grown up فيك تقول دايما it's مش my way or the highway بس دايما عنا هالإيجو إنه اوكي انه انا بعرف اني غلطان بس I'd never admit it. I would never admit it. هلا اوكي لانه I'm just يعني I like to live a life that's fair و it's يعني I'm open, I'm honest fake, so دايما قد ما في I try to be as honest and emotional as I can لانه that's just who I am. بس ايه مثل ما قلت man, it's that's definitely hard man to admit something that يعني you don't always want to admit, but you kind of need to fix something that you I mean clearly care for. So
because like we said, you know, if you don't at the moment tackle it, إذا هلا ما حليتها رح تبين in other relationships. وتنتبه relationships is not always just on a emotional level or a عرفت عاطفيا. You know, you have personal يعني you have work relationships, you have friends. If you don't tackle that core issue رح يبين in many other aspects of your life. And I think this is a big part of takes us back to عن جد الرجال. Nowadays a proper رجال is the one who admits this and fixes these kinds of problems rather than بيفش خلقه بالناس اللي حواليه, whether physically or حتى emotional damage.
صح,
it's very common.
Like exactly. وكمان even if you want to go back to the notion of my way or the highway, كتير أمرار يعني بتلاحظ الرياكشن تبع الرجال لما المرة بتقول لهم لا إنه سكوت, هو the way that he reacts is in very bad ways. بدك إنه either if it's physical or if it's verbal or if it's بيصير يعني overdoing it بقصص, you know. So كمان it's always good to keep in mind إنه okay إيه بعرف إحنا عنا our egos, I'm not gonna sit in denial, we do, بس إنه we also need to be very aware إنه okay بس it's also what's fair, it's what's right. ما هيدا كمان الرجال إذا بدك ترجع على the basis نحن we should be fair, we should be noble, we should be respected. Okay, how do you get respect is when you're honest, is when you're open, and it's when you're being the truest is what version of yourself.
Yeah, 100%. This is the image of the رجال that I think got distorted with time. عرفت? So I think this is our job and our generation and the ones coming to slowly fix that. Hopefully my videos are doing that.
I'm sure.
على Lebanese guy.
السب اللبناني اسمه.
Hopefully عم بيوعى.
I don't think بعده. I don't think وعي yet.
بده
أكيد. إنه لك
ما فيك الإيجو. You can't destroy it overnight. It's a process.
It's a long journey.
It's a process.
You're gonna have potholes بس حتوصل.
It's a point. 100%.
والله I love it man. I love it. But no, like يعني هي again I think if we are to go back to this whole idea of like يعني again الرجال شو admitting things and stuff يعني دايما it's putting aside relationships, I think it can help us go so far. But again I think we just haven't done it 100%. For long enough for us to see the benefits of it. يعني again كتير بتشوف on Instagram like these stories of famous celebrities وهيك, or even general people إنه I did this or I did that or I became honest or vulnerable in this. برجيهم لهون إنه in our society بيجي بقولك إنه لا إحنا مش هيك, إنه هيدا مش رجال, هيدا whatever.
Exactly.
نعنوع exactly to say it politely. You know, again I think this is the shift that needs to happen. يلي هي إنه it's uncommon, let's say it like this, but إنه you can get there, you can easily have a great relationship in general, whether it's emotional, friendship, work, whatever. Even relationship with yourself. I think this is something that we don't talk about enough. يلي هي إنه كمان الرجال هو كيف بيشوف حاله مش على غيره, على حق إنه how does he view what he's worth, how does he assess himself. يعني كمان نحن كتير we live in autopilot mode in the sense of بعمل لعند ما خلص بوصل لمحل where زهقت خلص إنه and then problems start to happen from there.
إيه لا الرجال كمان نحن this is I think where self-reflection comes into play. We don't do that enough. يعني نحن مش بس autopilot بس we're always around people. والرجال nowadays إنه rarely بيقدر يقعد مع حاله. You know, people find it very tough now to just be alone and to think about their actions, what to do, how did I do this right, my ego. هيدا it's very uncommon عنا. Like we're always لأنه نحن كتير family oriented كمان our society. So we're always around some form of family or friends. But I think this is كمان something very important, you know, just to be able to sit by yourself and self-reflect.
You need to be comfortable with being alone. هيدي أهم شيء
100%.
وليك صراحة هيدي كمان مرقت علي for a large part of هلا like my late إنه هلا آخر فترة بحياتي just in terms of إنه like كتير حسيت عم جرب to cover things in my life إنه أوكي إنه بس نكون زعلانين خلص بطلع بنسى طب ما لا بس ما هيدا كله حيتراكم لبعدين to something that's not very good so just self-reflection talking I think talking helped me كتير just trying different things going outside my comfort zone whether it's sitting alone whether it's journaling whether it's meeting new groups of people again just to get a different perspective on life عرفت لأنه كمان I also feel like when you're in the same environment for too long بتصفي إنه okay that's all I ever believe in that's all I ever think وأنا دايما مع الواحد ينوع أكيد بس also to stay true to what he feels and what he thinks بهالوقت.
Yeah, لا I can totally relate to that. أنا كنت كتير my personality إنه I can't be alone by the way. أنا growing up كنت always around people. I have this bubbly extroverted personality where no way بدي ضلني حول الناس. I want to be always interacting with someone. The biggest shock for that is بعد ما تخرجت من الجامعة. So I was in Canada. أساس بدي أدرس أشتغل كمان بكندا. So I ended up going to a remote part لأنه شغلي كان very هيك طبيعته. That was the biggest shock for me لأنه قعدت لحالي with some guy's house in my own bedroom ما بعرف حدا ما بعرف anyone around me in that city completely alone and that was one of the toughest times in my life يعني لأنه خلص I can't do anything I can't be me there's no one to interact with there's no one to go out with and do هيدا فكانت شي فترة 6 months where this was the biggest growth I've had I think during that period of my life of having to deal with being alone with my thoughts هيدي لحالة I think really helped shape my confidence and the person I became بعدها.
Man, دايما هن بيقولوا لك the hardest shift is بين جامعة و real life. يعني أنا بتذكر so لو أنا خلصت من الجامعة which wasn't so long ago 4 or 5 years ago بتذكر like بتعرف بلبنان الجو كيف إنه العالم كله مع بعض ويلا نظهر رجعت لهون all of my friends from school left ما في حدا هون my friends من الجامعة أكتريتهم مثلا at the time كانوا بلبنان or كانوا مثلا around the world وكان في few here and there من هون بس أنا what I thought helped me كتير was training كتير يعني خلص even حتى by the way till today my routine's the same I go to work I finish I go to gym I go back home eat shower sleep
هيدا الحياة هون أصلا
and this is the life بس what I started to realize recently is that okay I mean it's cool self growth all this stuff great but again what I was saying a bit earlier اللي هي you need to keep being around different people to get بس تتغير جو مش من شيء تاني just to be able to change هال energy that you have around you if it's just the same أنت منك لحالك حتزهق يعني أنا it took me 4 years to start to say okay you know what fuck it I'm gonna change I'm gonna sign up for events I've never done fitness events I'm gonna go and sign up for public speaking courses and actually try to do it I'm gonna try to مثلا start attending different workouts with different people لأنه بدي غير I want to change in my life وبحس كمان يعني دايما I think about it as well it links back to my childhood صراحة يعني دايما I used to live a life مش alone بس إنه very selected group of people and even then ما حسيت I was so fulfilled أبدا إنه no friends بس إنه
because ما في growth you're not like gaining any more knowledge
exactly
or هيدا
not getting anything at the time وكانت أكترية إنه والله هيدا حيساعدني بالفحص أو notes بس إنه غير هيك and then from there خلص إنه كمان I want to heal this younger side اللي هو حس حاله إنه okay you know what this إنه لما كنت صغير والله ما كنت أطلع هالقد ما كنت I didn't put myself out there as much لأنه I should have but then if I am to also be fair كنت صغير إنه شو بدي أعمل تعامل إنه عرفت so I don't know it's a very interesting thought إنه كمان how إنه كيف نحن the way we are today كمان is impacted from the way we were as kids عرفت وهلا whether we know it or not يعني فيا
No, definitely your upbringing is a big part of it يعني. بس كمان مثل ما بيقولوا كل شيء حلو بوقته.
Exactly.
You know. But at the same time there are certain things if you don't live as a child you'll end up having midlife crisis بعدين فبدك
you need to pick your battles.
You
need to see which battle you want to have and which one you don't want to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I think definitely, man, it's super just interesting. Just like again, يعني I find it very interesting to know that comedy was your way out of things. مش way out, but your way of coping with things. Is what that you know, like because a lot of times, like even Anna, when I used to try to forget about the world or whatever, بعد بحضر Kevin Hart or any other comedian. بس بعدين بعد بقول okay, this is all great, this is all cool, but the problems are still there. عرفت يعني it's not like I'm doing something about it, which I think is what you're doing هلا. It's not you're relying on something and then مش you're watching something to forget and then you see where it takes you. It's more of okay, I want to take my own creativity and turn it into something لأنه it's gonna get somewhere, it's gonna help someone somewhere in the world.
صح. وهي مش بس help على فكرة من ناحية إنه cheering up. في كمان there's this like undertone of في هالmoral message where somewhat إنه عم بتوعي إنه people there are really مثلا I know اللي أكتر شيء بينزعجوا the people who مثلا do what I put in my video. عرفت كيف إنه بشك عن النسوان ما راح يحب الفيديو تبع. بيقولوا مش بس عم بيفضحنا. He's seeing himself in that video and he's realizing how إنه shit أنا هيك فبصير بيزعل. بس something inside him أكيد clicked. ففيها التوعية somehow I'm hoping يعني فيها المسج.
I'm sure man, I'm sure إذا ما في there's a problem.
Exactly. things like that are always there. بعدين تعرف other than that comedy is this thing where it helps you شوي كمان connect with your inner child مثل ما أنت قلت لأنه with time we tend to become much more serious. وأنا هيدا شوي بتقهرني إنه ليه why do I have to be serious هلا ما أنت هلا عم تقوله بحضر أنا هيك وبعد the problems are there in the world so if I'm serious وشو بدي يتغير ما بس رح اتضايق زيادة وسم بدني. أنا هيدي كتير I try to wake up the people around me like in my family إنه طب ليه بكون جدي إنه ليه بدي روح أنا ببدلي هلا مثلا ليه بدي ألبس بدلي على العرس أنا بدي روح بالجينز ما هيك مرتاح why do I have to be serious ما هيك قالوا
يعني هيك الأصول
هيك الأصول وين show me the book في شي كتاب في شي rule book that we all following أنا مش شايفه جيبوا لي
apparently there is but we've never gotten the copy.
We've become too serious I think honestly we forgot about هاي الروح المرحة يعني أنا my saying كان دايما أقول إنه you can infuse comedy and humor بكل شي any moment. هلا I get pushback كتير إنه لا في moments بكون جدي بس إنه you can balance يعني
the majority فيك
exactly إنه بيضل في some form of humor فيك تحطه anywhere so this is I think my outlook and I think this is a way to stay هيك شوي alive and young at heart otherwise بتموت فقع.
exactly بتزهق بالآخر يعني what you said by the way is so true يعني أنا I don't know if you've ever seen Modern Family. By the way, I realized
حضره كذا مرة 5 times.
Man, I've realized I talk about it almost every single episode. I've thought about it this morning. I'm like, I really hope I don't talk about
it.
It's
so good. I know it's smart humor.
It's smart humor, but man, like Phil Dunphy.
Phil is your favorite?
I'm Phil. I'm Team Phil, man.
أنا هن كل الكاركتر بس Cam. Come on.
Cam no, so my favorites are Phil and Cam.
Cam مش طبيعي.
But Phil is the father I want to be.
ايه صح
very childlike هيك لا لا لاند عرفت
he's in his own bubble يعني
exactly
oh man I love
Cam is too funny though Cam is too funny
وحتى Jay by the way is very underrated لأنه he's like this old character who بعده بهال
by the way
old generational mindset بس عم بيتفتح throughout the series but that's a very nice
actually it's funny because the last episode I watched was Mitchell's wedding.
Oh, that's a very funny one. Everything goes wrong.
Everything goes to shit, and they don't get. I mean, it looked like they weren't gonna get married, but then Jay pulls. So again, and this is, but like the Hollywood moment. I wish we have. مجتمعنا يلي هي يعني for people to be more accepting, for people to be more how to say it, like they don't care. This is the point I want to get to.
We'll get there. I think with time we have to. Otherwise يعني other societies will overtake us يعني إذا بدنا نقول العرب ونحن العرب ومنا نعمل I think this is a big part of it being like هيك
underdog.
you need to be شوي open-minded أكتر ومور هيك flexible ومور عرفت كيف مش إنه بس خلص نحن this is how we are وما بنتغير ما بنقبل نتغير إذا بنتغير يعني غلط
we're changing our identity we're changing الأصول وجدودنا بيزعلوا منا
100% مضبوط
لا
أنا by the way my favorite is The Office أنا the series هيدا أهضم I don't know if you've seen it
I've seen 3 episodes I couldn't continue you
have to أنا هيدا stop
جربت بس ما قدرت
أبدا it's the perfect corporate maniac على it's me I love it
okay
you know what I mean it's so good
it's a good show بس أنا to me it's إنه أنا كتير I attached to shows خلاص إنه if there's a show بضل أحضره بس ما نفهم بالك صار حضره 5 times
okay
at least 5 times يعني so
good
so at this point like خلاص إنه I don't want to let go of it لأنه it's just too funny but yeah so if there's one lesson in life that you've learned or heck one important message that you want to share what would it be for you as Kareem
it's be genuine honestly like being genuine has really helped me throughout my life لأنه خلص you give that energy that is very easy to pick up on وكل أمورك بتتسهسل عن جد كل شيء بيصير easy لأنه خلص أنت this is how I am و I'm very smooth و easy going وخلص life just the pieces fit together هلا أكيد مش كل شيء within your control بس having that base of being genuine و speaking up و saying whatever is on your mind و عرفت ما تكون ملوفك وبتضحك على الناس everything fits in that's what I've learned
like he actually which said is super important لأنه when you were talking about relationships and I'm gonna go back شوي you're saying things that are within your control بحس هيدي كمان كرجال it's hard to control by the way يعني مثلا you're seeing someone you're talking وهيك بس إنه بتعرف بيصير في مشاكل قصص بتصير بس إنه the solution is not in your control anymore or it's something that's خلاص you can't do anything about it so بتصفي بيصير معك الإيجو لا إنه أنا لازم أضبط أنا اللي حظبط بس إنه I think it goes back to again this whole idea of I don't know it's a lot of things بس بحس one of them is just understanding that things are not in your control دايما يعني as a رجال fine في times where موضوعك معي هيدي بتصير it can happen but not all the time عرفت sometimes things that we want won't always come but that's totally fine
and that's not an easy pill to swallow هيدا it's وعم تحكي انت someone who كمان my personality لاني I'm very organized و OCD وبدي كل شيء يمشي in a specific set of ways كمان بدون ما تحس you realize you're شوي being controlling انه لا ليه ما نروح على هالمطعم هالمطعم احلى هلا
exactly.
انت عم بتصيغها بطريقه انه لا you're trying to be like diplomatic بس انت you're شوي being controlling
especially when you have like a favorite thing and you're like I really want to have this بس please ما تفقسي لي نهاري لانه كثير حبيبي
100%
I got it وحياتك I got it
but it is not easy to get used to that but you need to especially in relationships so it's not always going to be your way for controlling
it's never yeah I think there needs to be a level of يعني مش controlling بس إنه you need to be assertive when you really need to يعني when it's like
hey with anything in any situation
you know بس إنه in general it's like you need to pick your battle عرفت بس مش إنه كل مرة والله في شغلة لا إنه أنا اللي بدي أعمله بدي يصير لا خي أنت مين يعني أول شيء يعني مين أنت you know and I think this is the idea that a lot of people don't get إنه أنت مين إنه what are you trying to offer the world that they don't already have عرفت yeah so Kareem the way we like to end every episode is we have a notebook
hello
so I don't know if you saw it or not
I saw you put it قبل شوي
okay but you weren't wondering what was inside the book okay,
no I thought it's for a personal notebook تحط فيه your thoughts
I mean no that's another notebook بالبيت هيدي ما بجيبها لهون literally بقراها قبل ما انام so نحن the way we like to end every episode is essentially it's like it's a piece of advice you would give to someone in need who's struggling as a رجال to a رجال could be struggling with anything but what was your go-to motto, quote that's helped you push through those hard times, that's helped you push through things that were very tough in your life? It can be...
I have one line that I really, really like. اللي هو don't take life too seriously. No one's getting out alive anyway. I love that. I know.
I love it. And that was
like
awesome.
That
was
right?
awesome.
You can use it.
I love it.
Copyrighted.
Oof. I mean, you could have. That could have been a great business opportunity for you. Honestly, you shouldn't have told us. But that's awesome. Gonna ask you to write. Of course, because that was
eye opening. بس أنا خطي مثل
الحكمة. بدك تشوف خطي.
أنا عارف بدي أكتبها ما كنت حطيت. I would have chosen a smaller line. يعني.
لا. This is why I gave you the like I wanted to test you. That one is crazy though. The thing is, it's like the way like people want to word things in life. It's like it's the wording. عارف it? It's never the meaning's the same. It's just the way that you phrase it. It's like
right? كيف إنه ليه أنا عم كون كتير جد شو فيها هالدنيا.
Exactly.
This is how I like to approach it.
I love it, man. Kareem, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Incredible. Like Amjad, it was just great, I think, to get to know or get into your minds as well, just to see into how you think, how things are. No, and it was great fun, صراحة.
Thank you.
Loved it.
Likewise.
Amazing. On to the next one.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fellas, we're done.
How much time do you have left?